Aaron Judge is the American League MVP for the second straight year. Edged out Mariners catcher Cal Raleigh to win the award. The first place voting was close. It was 17-13 in favor of the captain over the big dumper. Judge is the fourth Yankee with 3 MVP awards, joining Mickey Mantle, Yogi Berra, and Joe DiMaggio. He led baseball in average and OPS. Third player in baseball history to hit 50 home runs and win the batting title in the same season. As you take a look at the voting, Aaron Judge receiving 17 first-place votes. Cal Raleigh received 13 first-place votes. A lot of it coming down to the numbers. Cal Raleigh hit 247, did hit 60 home runs. His OPS was 948, but you consider the numbers that Aaron Judge put up. He hit 331, led all of baseball. His on-base percentage was 457. His OPS was over 1,100, and Aaron Judge wins the American League MVP for the second year in a row. Pleased to welcome in A's broadcaster Dallas Braden, one of only 24 pitchers in MLB history to throw a perfect game. Dallas, good to be back here with you, my old friend. And look, this was close. Your reaction to Aaron Judge winning MVP over Cal Raleigh, the first place vote, 17-13.
Well, first of all, the dream, thanks for having me, man. And I said this, and I think the conversation has been this for the last month or so. And I'll point out something that Brent Rooker said. Brent Rooker said, please, let's just not spend our time trying to tear down one performance of the other. And let's really try to appreciate what we're seeing. And I think when you have perennial contenders that have continued to put together record-setting, record-breaking performances year in and year out the way that Aaron Judge has, it's really tough to look at anything he's doing and detract from that. We're talking about a guy who moved off a premium defensive position and moved over to right field, swung his way through some injury. I talked about the responsibility of Aaron Judge being the centerpiece of that Yankee offense, and there's really no other place to look when you're looking for that sort of productivity. Look no further than the gavel himself, Aaron Judge. That's 3 MVPs now in 4 years. On the flip side of that coin was Cal Raleigh, who was a major part of that conversation. And to be candid, that's probably where my vote would have gone. And is there bias involved in that decision? Sure, because I understand that between Aaron Judge and Cal Raleigh, really, there's only one guy that is asked to sort of put his responsibilities to the side for a moment each and every day and focus on how he can help his teammates. And that's the responsibility of a catcher. And that's not to say that Aaron Judge is not available to talk shop in the cage or in the dugout or in passing, just exchanging information. Both of these guys are invaluable to their teams, but somebody had to win the award, and this time it's Aaron Judge. And I think as deserving as anybody, we're gonna laud the power. 53 home runs. You also have to consider the bat-to-ball skill. He won a batting title. That's more home runs hit by anybody that's ever won a batting title in the same season. So that just goes to show what sort of rarefied air Aaron Judge is breathing, and all of us are just lucky to even be in the same atmosphere as a guy like this. So well-deserved, and it's, again, 3 in 4 years, 7 out of 10 of the MVPs between he and Shohei Ohtani over the last 10 years. It's just been a ridiculous run.
Look, Dallas, I'm not going to refute the numbers, okay? You look at the batting average, Aaron Judge, 331, Cal Raleigh, 247, on-base percentage, 457 to 359, OPS, over 1,100 to 948. I know the numbers matter in baseball, but we always say batting average doesn't matter. Like, people will talk about that. Get on base. And here's a guy who hit 60 home runs. He played 121 games in the regular season at catcher. He missed 3 games. And you're telling me what more does he have to do to win MVP? I guess he's got to hit 260. I get what Aaron Judge did, right? I appreciate what he did. I like Aaron Judge as a player and a human being. He's awesome to deal with in the media. He's a fan favorite. He's a captain of the Yankees. I get all that. I appreciate all that. But what does the guy have to do? Cal Raleigh hit 60 bombs as a switch hitter.
It's tough. It's tough, especially when you're going against a marquee name in a marquee market like New York. I mean, that is Aaron Judge, and that is the Big Apple. So I think there's, whether you call it built-in bias or not, from the voters, and I think ultimately you just do. You have to appreciate what you see, because this is a kind of run for Aaron Judge that I'm not sure many folks who are watching baseball right now have ever seen. I mean, a name like Albert Pujols gets kicked around when you talk about dominant performances over an extended period of time for a right-handed hitter. But for Aaron Judge, He led the free world, Hakeem, in just about every important statistical category you could ask for outside of the homers. So he came up 7 short of the 60 mark. He had 53. My goodness, look at that list. Average, on base, slugging percentage. When you talk about showing up and driving in runs, the minute Aaron Judge opens his eyes, he's in scoring position, Hakeem. I don't care where he's at the ballpark or in his bed at home, having not even gotten out of bed, the dude is ready to do damage. And I think the numbers bear that out. And there's very few people who have the ability to put an entire team on their back for 1, 2, 3 weeks, a month at a time. This is a dude who, you remove him, the season for the team looks completely different, not just a week or two. So for him to have that ability and understanding, it's almost like a Barry Bonds effect too, to an extent. When you think about Barry and the run that he was on, this is a guy who was going to see 1, maybe 2 pitches a series that he was going to be able to do anything with, and he turned around and did damage with those. Aaron Judge is the guy that you circle in the lineup that you know, we can't let this guy beat us. But if you're going to give him an opportunity, it feels like he's going to take advantage and he's going to capitalize on it. And that's why he's now sitting with 3 MVPs.
Yeah, and you know me as a lover of the big dumper. I would counter with the fact that Cal Raleigh led the Mariners to the AL West title for the first time since 2001. He got them to within a whisper of the World Series. Aaron Judge's Yankees lost in the first round. And I know this is a regular season award, but when you talk about most valuable to your team, I'm not refuting the numbers, but most valuable player, I don't see why Cal Raleigh maybe gets a few more votes, right? It was close. It was 17-13, and that tells me that there was a lot of people on the fence, Dallas, about this voting.
And that tells me that the voting and the evolution that we're seeing occur is, I think, getting better and better. And it's not to say that they've ever gotten it wrong. I think if you want to take some time, you can go back and check out Baseball Reference and look at some of the voting in years past and how that's gone. And, well, I'll just tell you, Hakeem, they haven't nailed it every year. But it feels like we're getting closer and closer when you start to see the evaluation and you start to see this conversation and as close as it was, because I know there's a lot of other entities, a lot of other evaluators that said, look, this is pretty much a 95% lock that Aaron Judge was going to walk home with this. And for the voting to go 17 first place votes for Judge, 13 for Cal Raleigh, you flip those 2 numbers in the second place category. That tells you that there was a lot of people that were giving a lot of weight and a lot of credit to what Cal Raleigh is doing. And again, I'll say it again. For Cal Raleigh, he shows up to the ballpark each and every day, and it's almost like there's a finite amount of time that he can spend on his own craft, on making himself better, before everybody in the ballpark and everybody in the clubhouse sort of understands Cal Raleigh's now going to have to take a back seat to what the other guys do. And when you have the responsibility of handling an incredible pitching staff like the Mariners had, not to mention a guy like Brian Wu, who was in the AL Cy Young conversation, there's a lot of responsibility that comes along with that. And when you're the guy that is making everybody out there on the mound in the starting rotation or in the bullpen comfortable, and you're the guy that's instilling confidence in those guys to go out and compete, and they are the backbone of your success, well, I got to believe that Cal Raleigh is the centerpiece in that as well. And dare I say, he very well may be the most, valuable player?
Yeah, most valuable dumper. Hey, hell of a season. Hell of a season from Cal Raleigh and the Mariners. We were huge fans of Cal Raleigh, huge fans of Aaron Judge as well, and a well-deserved MVP. His 3rd in 4 seasons. He's in his just completed his 10th season in Major League Baseball, Dallas, and I'm sure you would trade your perfect game for a World Series title. Aaron Judge has 3 MVP awards, but he has no World Series titles. I'm sure he's sitting there going, great, I won MVP, but really to complete my legacy, I need a championship.
And it almost feels like somewhere in Aaron Judge's trophy case, there's one lonely shelf that is dimly lit, maybe not even lit at all. And that's probably the place that he walks by each and every day and is looking in and saying, soon we will fill that void. Because for a player of his caliber to have accomplished everything he's already accomplished, there's not much left, right? It's just to be the last man standing at the top of the mountain, planting his flag as a world champion. And I know that he will do everything he can do to continue to put himself and his team in a position to get there at the end of the season. It is a team effort. That's what makes baseball so special. It's the most individualistic team sport going, and it just proves you can have the best, the most valuable player on your team, and that just just does not guarantee team success. But it's a hell of a lot of fun to watch a season unfold when you're talking about a guy like Aaron Judge putting together the run he did with the numbers to support it.
Going to have to win a World Series to be considered one of the all-time Yankee greats, right? I mean, you got to win a World Series to be an all-time Yankee great.
I think in that pantheon, sure. I mean, he's not going to get any pushback, I think, from other fans just in terms of his greatness and his presence overall. But when you start talking about where you fit in the all-time greats that put the pinstripes on, that's definitely a conversation that has to be had.
Well, another great season for Aaron Judge, American League MVP for the second year in a row as you take a look at back-to-back MVPs in American League history. The first since Miggy Cabrera did so in 2012 and 2013. Look, these guys are Hall of Famers. Aaron Judge, first ballot Hall of Famer, future. But look, he's got to win a World Series. He's won 3 MVPs, 3 in 4 seasons. He goes back-to-back, edges out Cal Raleigh, 17 first-place votes to 13 first-place votes. The captain beats out the big dumper. Still ahead, it's unanimous once again. Shohei Ohtani earns National League MVP, and now he's in a league of his own. That's next on CBS Sports HQ. For the second year in a row, Shohei Ohtani is the National League MVP. He's now won 3 consecutive MVP awards, all unanimously. In fact, all 4 of his MVPs are unanimous. He joins Barry Bonds as the only players in baseball history to win 4 MVP awards. Bonds won the most, 7 of them. Ohtani is the only player to win the MVP twice in each league, hit 55 home runs, led all of baseball with 89 extra base hits, while also starting 14 games on the mound with a 2.87 ERA. And you take a look at the voting, another clean sweep for Shohei Ohtani. Again, all 4 of his MVP awards are unanimous. Kyle Schwarber nor Juan Soto got any first-place votes. Back here with A's broadcaster Dallas Braden, one of only 24 pitchers in MLB history to throw a perfect game. Dallas, good to be back with you here. And look, we're back singing the same tune, right? Shohei Ohtani, MVP for the second year in a row. It was not a surprise. This was really just a formality.
Yeah, sweet. What's for lunch, Dream? Yep. That's pretty much how that goes, right? I jokingly said, I don't know that Ohtani could have looked any more disinterested in being on a Zoom call to take in another MVP to the point each and every one of them have been unanimous. It's really not a conversation. And I think I'm still thankful for this. And here's why, because early on, the question was, well, if Shohei Ohtani is going to hit the way he is, and he's going to perform on the mound the way he is, does that mean he's just going to be the MVP each and every year? That's so unfair. We're not giving anybody else a chance. No. That is fair. And that's what makes him so special, is if you were to have to start from scratch and build your team with the 26 roster spots that are available to you today, you're picking one player and one player only. And everybody knows who that player is. And it's Shohei Ohtani, simply because he does everything your favorite offensive player does and more. And he does everything your favorite pitcher does and more. It just depends on which perspective you're looking at it from. So with that kind of talent, I think it's one of those things where you do, kind of like with Aaron Judge, you can go argue with a wall if you want, or you're probably better served just appreciating what you are watching. Because anytime the conversation comes up, the name that gets dropped is Babe Ruth, right? Well, he has taken that rearview mirror that Babe Ruth's name pops up in, and he has ripped it off and thrown it away, because that conversation, we could have had that a few years ago. This is a dude who is rewriting history each and every time he steps onto the baseball field. And there's nobody else that is even close to this kind of class of athlete. He's the greatest baseball talent we have ever seen on a field. He is the most valuable player. He is the most valuable performer in Major League Baseball, not just his team. So I think when you talk about a face of a sport, a face of an entity, and you look at what you're seeing from Shohei Ohtani since he showed up, there's no other name to start the conversation with. It's Shohei Ohtani.
Well, you remember in the NLCS, the game that he had to clinch the pennant, 6 scoreless innings, striking out 10, 3 home runs, and then in Game 3 of the World Series, he was on base 9 times in the 18-inning epic that they ultimately won. And look, now he has 2 World Series titles in his first 2 seasons with the Dodgers. and what he has accomplished, he could retire and be a first ballot Hall of Famer, and it would be unanimous like his MVPs. Dallas, I'm curious, as a former pitcher yourself who threw a perfect game, what do you appreciate the most about Shohei Ohtani?
His ability to bounce back and his ability to compartmentalize performances. We talk a lot about guys who are defenders, position players, who do a good job of separating maybe their lack of production offensively and are still able to go out and make game-saving plays and do a great job of anchoring their team defensively. And for Shohei Ohtani to be able to do those two things simultaneously is a huge mental exercise. And he is able to perform and compartmentalize the best that I think anybody has ever seen. So when you talk about leaning on Shohei's performances in one realm or the other, it doesn't ever feel like you just get a sense of him mailing it in on one side of the baseball because the other side isn't picking it up or he's not performing in that way. And I've said this about Shohei Ohtani, and I said that he knows how good he is, and he has known how good he is for a long time. Let's not forget that this is a man who took the time early on in his life to draw up and forecast his entire baseball career by age, by performance, by accolade, and he's continuing to check those boxes. I said Shohei Ohtani knew exactly what he was doing when he signed with the Anaheim Angels early on. He said, if you believe that Mike Trout is the best that your sport has to offer, I know how I feel about myself. Why don't I just line up and play side by side next to that guy, and we'll let the chips fall where they may, and then you can be the judge after the fact. And here we are talking about 4 unanimous MVPs, Hakeem. 4.
It's incredible.
Unanimous.
It's incredible. 3 straight MVP awards for Shohei Ohtani. Man, I could talk ball with you all night long. Dallas, Braden, good to be back with you, my friend. Appreciate you jumping on with us and reacting here to the MVPs. And another MVP season for Shohei Ohtani. As you take a look at where this stacks up against the 4 major North American sports. Shohei Ohtani has played 8 seasons of Major League Baseball. Half of them were MVP seasons. The last 2 were World Series winning MVP seasons. Shohei Ohtani, again, in a league of his own, the only player to win the MVP twice in each league.